Take a moment and honestly ask yourself, when was the last time you truly felt at peace, unhurried, not just physically idle, but deeply, truly at ease within your own skin? For many of you, I suspect the answer might be a vague memory, or perhaps a fleeting moment stolen from a relentless schedule. We live in a world that constantly demands more, faster, better. We're told to hustle, to optimize, to chase. And in this endless pursuit, something precious slips through our fingers. Our inner calm, our quiet grace, our ability to simply be. Now, when I talk about leisure, I'm not talking about lounging on a beach somewhere, though that certainly helps. I'm talking about something far more profound, the remarkable ability to maintain your own steady rhythm, your inherent pace, even when the world around you is spinning wildly out of control. Think about it. When you're stressed, what's the first thing to go? Your patience, your gentle tone. You speak faster, your thoughts race. Sometimes you snap without meaning to. You might even find yourself saying things you regret, words laced with a hurried roughness that doesn't truly reflect who you are. Why? And because our primal brain interprets urgency as danger, pushing us into fight or flight, making us reactive, not thoughtful. It's not just about what you say, darling, but how you say it. The speed of your words often carries more weight, more meaning, than the words themselves. A hasty "I love you" can feel hollow, while a calmly delivered criticism can feel like genuine concern. When we lose our sense of pace, we lose our ability to connect meaningfully, to inspire trust, to exude that quiet confidence that truly draws people in. But what if I told you that this deeply coveted leisure, this inner composure, isn't a genetic lottery win or a luxury reserved for the few? And what if it's a profound skill, something you can cultivate, nurture, and eventually master? A secret ingredient found in the hearts and minds of those truly kind, genuinely relaxed souls you admire. Oh, and what if the path to unlocking it begins not with grand gestures, but with two simple yet powerful habits that anyone, at any age, can begin practicing today? Stay with me, because we're about to unpack exactly what those habits are, and how they can utterly transform not just your interactions, but your entire inner world. And the first profound skill, often overlooked in our haste, is the art of the deliberate pause. This isn't just about waiting to speak, my dear. It's about creating a tiny, sacred space between an external stimulus and your internal reaction. Imagine a busy intersection within your mind, flooded with demands and anxieties. And most of us instinctively plunge in, but the deliberate pause is like installing a traffic light, giving you a precious moment to observe, to choose your lane, instead of just swerving into a reaction. Psychologically, this pause activates your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning and impulse control. Without it, your limbic system, your emotional brain, often takes the wheel, leading to hasty words or regrettable reactions. And by simply taking a breath, a beat, before you respond, you're literally shifting gears from your primal, reactive self to your calm, thoughtful self. It's not about being slow, it's about being deliberate. And take Sarah, a brilliant marketing manager who dreaded team meetings. Her fast-talking boss would fire off questions, and Sarah, wanting to appear competent, would blurt out half-formed ideas. Her answers were disjointed, leaving her flustered. I suggested, before answering, take one deep, silent breath. And just one. That tiny pause gave her brain time to process, to access deeper, coherent thoughts. And her responses became clearer, more articulate, and surprisingly more confident. Her boss later praised her thoughtful contributions, seeing a well-considered perspective where before there was only rushed reaction. This isn't about hesitation, it's about intentionality. It's about reclaiming your mental sovereignty in a world that tries to dictate your pace. When you pause, you subtly communicate to others, and more importantly to yourself, that you are not beholden to their urgency. You are in control of your own internal clock. It's an act of quiet power, a declaration of your own steady rhythm. This second habit builds beautifully upon the first, the practice of mindful observation without judgment. And once you've created that pause, that space, what do you do with it? You observe. But here's the critical distinction. You observe without immediate judgment. Most of us are quick-draw critics, labeling everything good or bad the moment it enters our awareness. Yet this constant judging creates mental static, a noisy internal monologue that exhausts us and distorts our perception. Neurologically, our brains are hardwired for quick survival assessments. But in modern life, this rapid-fire judgment often overshoots. When you observe without judgment, you temporarily disengage that automatic labeling mechanism. You become a neutral witness to your thoughts, your feelings, and the external world. You allow things to simply be what they are, without immediately attaching a story or an evaluation. Consider Michael, a kind but perpetually anxious soul in customer service. Every call felt like a high-stakes performance review. And if a customer sounded annoyed, Michael's internal monologue would spiral. They hate me. I'm doing a terrible job. He wasn't just hearing a customer, he was hearing a verdict, amplifying minor incidents into personal catastrophes. I encouraged Michael, for 1 week when a customer called, simply notice the tone, the words, the problem, no immediate good or bad. Just notice, a customer might sound frustrated. And instead of this customer is attacking me, he'd reframe it as, I am observing a customer who expresses frustration. He focused on the facts. And the change was remarkable. Stripping away immediate judgment, he heard the actual problem much more clearly. And he could empathize without internalizing. The customer's frustration was no longer a personal attack, but an emotion expressed by another human. He responded with genuine calm and problem-solving focus, without defensiveness or anxiety. His days became less about emotional survival and more about skillful serving. These two habits, the deliberate pause and mindful observation without judgment, aren't just about improving your interactions with others, my dear. They are profoundly selfish acts in the best possible way. They are about giving yourself the gift of clarity, the strength of composure, and the quiet dignity of choosing how you show up in the world, rather than simply reacting to it. They are the twin keys to unlocking that deep, unhurried leisure we spoke of, transforming your internal world from a battlefield to a sanctuary. And once you master these, the next step is to explore how to extend this inner peace outwards, influencing not just yourself, but the very environment you inhabit. The inner peace you've painstakingly cultivated isn't meant to be a fragile jewel hidden away. It's a wellspring that should flow, but it needs a protective embankment to prevent it from being muddied by the outside world. This brings us to the third profound shift, one that often feels counterintuitive, yet is utterly essential for extending your inner sanctuary outwards. The gentle art of setting boundaries without guilt. Why is this so hard? My dear, we are wired for connection, for belonging. From ancient times, being ostracized meant danger. And this deep-seated fear still whispers in our ears, making us conflate saying no with being unloved or being difficult. We dread the perceived disapproval, the fleeting discomfort we imagine our no might cause. We become people-pleasers, nodding along, stretching ourselves thin, all to avoid a momentary ripple of perceived displeasure in others. But this comes at a devastating cost to our own peace. It's a silent, constant erosion of the very sanctuary we're trying to build. When you automatically say yes out of habit or fear, you're not making a deliberate choice. You're simply reacting to an external demand, just as we discussed. And think of Maria, a whirlwind of energy who always took on extra projects at work, volunteered for every school event, and was the go-to friend for favors. Everyone loved Maria, but Maria herself was perpetually exhausted, her calm demeanor frayed at the edges. She'd come to me, eyes hollow, saying, "Auntie, I feel like I'm drowning, but I can't say no. What will people think? Will they stop asking me?" Her internal monologue was a cascade of shoulds and musts. I asked her to try a simple exercise, built on her newfound skills of pausing and observing, before automatically agreeing, pause, just for a beat. And then instead of judging the request as good or bad, simply observe her own capacity. Is this something I can genuinely offer without depleting myself? Is it aligned with my values and priorities? Initially, she'd still blurt out yes, but with practice, that pause grew. She started with small things. Let me check my calendar and get back to you, instead of an immediate, sure. This gave her the crucial space to assess, to consciously choose. Then she moved to a more challenging no. A colleague asked her to take over a complex report at the last minute. Maria paused, observed her already packed schedule and the impending deadline for her own critical project. And instead of saying yes and working late, filled with resentment, she said calmly, "I appreciate you thinking of me, but my plate is completely full with Project X, and I need to prioritize that deadline. I hope you find someone who can help." The world didn't end. Her colleague, though perhaps disappointed, understood. What shifted wasn't just Maria's schedule, but her internal landscape. And she realized that a gentle, honest no wasn't a declaration of war, but an act of self-respect. It was a clear, confident statement of her own value and her right to protect her time and energy. It allowed her to show up more fully for the commitments she did make, rather than half-heartedly for everything. Setting boundaries isn't about being rigid or unkind. It's about clarity, about defining where you end and another person begins. It's a non-negotiable step in maintaining that precious inner peace. When you communicate your limits with gentle firmness, you are, in essence, educating others on how to best treat you. You are showing them the blueprint for respectful interaction, not with anger, but with the quiet authority of someone who understands their own worth. And this act, born from deliberate pause and mindful observation, transforms your external relationships from draining obligations into respectful exchanges. You stop being a passive recipient of external demands and become an active architect of your life, not just within your mind, but in the tangible interactions that shape your days. These three profound skills, the deliberate pause, mindful observation without judgment, and the gentle art of setting boundaries, are not separate techniques. They are interwoven threads, strengthening the fabric of your well being. And they empower you to navigate the complexities of life with an unshakable inner compass, allowing you to move through the world not as a leaf buffeted by every gust, but as a tree rooted and resilient. And this resilience, my dear, opens the door to an even deeper transformation, the cultivation of genuine compassion, both for yourself and for those around you, a compassion that flows freely from a wellspring of inner strength. That wellspring of inner strength we've spoken about, now protected by firm boundaries, allows for something truly profound to emerge: genuine compassion. Not the kind that depletes you, not the kind that makes you a martyr, but a robust, clear-eyed compassion that starts with you. My dear, we are often our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards. We wouldn't speak to a friend the way we speak to ourselves when we falter, would we? We wouldn't dismiss their struggles with such a quick, dismissive wave. This is where the power of mindful observation, honed by your deliberate pause, turns inwards. When you stumble, when old fears resurface, or when you simply feel overwhelmed, instead of immediately plunging into self-reproach, pause. Observe that feeling of inadequacy, that sting of regret without judgment. Now, just acknowledge its presence, like a cloud passing through the sky of your mind. Remind yourself, I am human. This is a moment of suffering, and suffering is part of the human experience. And this isn't about excusing your mistakes. It's about acknowledging your humanity. It's about offering yourself the same kindness, patience, and understanding you would instinctively offer to someone you love. Yeah, it's the realization that true strength isn't about never falling, but about having the courage to gently pick yourself up, learn, and try again without the added burden of self-condemnation. This is the bedrock of self-compassion. And here's the beautiful paradox. When your own wellspring is full, when you treat yourself with this gentle reverence, your capacity for genuine compassion towards others blossoms naturally. You see, when you're not constantly battling your own inner demons, when you're not resentfully giving from an empty cup, you finally have the bandwidth to truly see others. You understand that just as you wrestle with your own complex internal world, so do they. Their sharp words, their frustrating behaviors, their perceived slights often stem from their own struggles, their own unhealed wounds. Now think of it like this. Your clearly defined boundaries are the walls of your peaceful home. Self-compassion is the warmth and light within those walls. From this secure, illuminated space, you can then extend genuine understanding and kindness to your neighbors without inviting them to track mud through your freshly cleaned living room. You can listen, empathize, and offer support from a place of generosity, not obligation. You can hold space for their pain without feeling compelled to fix it or absorb it. This allows for authentic connection, built not on codependency or people-pleasing, but on mutual respect and genuine human understanding. In this journey, from the deliberate pause to mindful observation, the brave act of setting boundaries, and finally, to the expansive embrace of compassion for yourself and others, isn't a destination. It's a profound shift in how you navigate the very current of life itself. It means you stop being a passenger tossed about by every wave and instead become a skilled navigator, aware of the currents, guiding your own vessel with an unshakable inner compass. This isn't about escaping life's challenges. It's about meeting them from a place of quiet power, a place where your inner sanctuary remains intact, radiating peace, no matter the storm outside. This is how you reclaim your life, one conscious breath, one gentle no, one compassionate embrace at a time. And my dear, that is a life truly worth living.